Is he?
Yes.
24 million new shares of stock.
You were told that if new investors
How
came
much were
along...
your shares diluted? How much were his?
And what was your ownership share diluted down to?
0.03%.
Okay, that's a movie scene, but it's based on a true story. It's about how Mark Zuckerberg betrayed his college friend and Facebook co-founder, Eduardo Saverin. Saverin was Facebook's original chief financial officer and even provided the startup's first seed funding when Zuckerberg really needed it. But in the corporate world, power and survival trumps friendship, and Mark Zuckerberg decided Saverin had to go. This is going to be unpopular, but I'll just give you some tough love and say it, because these are some of the biggest mistakes I've made in my career. Your coworkers are not your friends. Today, I'll tell you how I was betrayed by friends at work, why this happens, and what you can do to avoid these common but deadly mistakes. And don't just take my word for it, there are countless examples in history. Brutus betrayed Caesar, and Judas betrayed Jesus. They tell you it's a team game, but what they don't tell you is that the game you're playing is more like the Hunger Games. So, what happened to me? Well, once, a coworker who became a friend, we went on trips together. I even went to his wedding. He took my job after I was pushed out. You see, my old manager had already left, so I had no one to look out for me. My friend had a different job and he worked with his manager at the time to take my job during a layoff. Now, I don't hold it against him because it was a difficult time at the company, so he had to think about his own survival. Remember that when times are tough, working at a company is really like the Hunger Games. And if I'm being totally honest with you, I might have done the same thing if I were in his shoes and had to choose between getting laid off or taking my friend's job.
I must concede it was a masterful move. These things happen in war.
At another job, my boss, let's call him Dave, totally out of the blue, looked intensely at me and said, "I would never work at company XYZ." Now, XYZ is a stand in for the company name. "They're all a bunch of political backstabbers." Then he kept glaring, looking for a reaction. I froze, and it sent a chill up my spine because I had just started interviewing at company XYZ for a better job. But was it a coincidence that my boss was saying this? There was only one other person I had told about it. My friend, let's call him Tom, who worked at the desk beside me. Tom and I went on work trips together, we ate lunch together, and we even talked about our personal lives and families. Tom was more experienced than me, so I confided in him. I became paranoid though, so I came up with a plan to find out the truth. The next day, I flat out asked Tom, "Did you tell Dave that I was interviewing for another job?" "Of course not," he said. But something in his expression left me unconvinced. So I fibbed a bit and I said, "Tom, actually, I already know. Dave asked me why I was interviewing at other companies, and he specifically said that you told him about it." Tom then caved and just blurted out that he was sorry and that he was just looking out for me.
I know it was you, Fredo. You broke my heart. You broke my heart.
Of course, he was looking out for himself first. Lesson learned. And look, I don't hold it against him and I wish him well. I think he felt that he owed his loyalty to the boss above all else. So, yeah, I've got the scars to back up what I'm saying. You see, people often forget because everyone always talks about the team and how working together is a team sport, but it's also a competitive sport. Never forget that it's both.
It's always a long fall from the top, isn't it? Easy, Wes.
Companies are pyramid hierarchical structures. Anyone who wants to get promoted is competing with their peers simply because there are fewer spots higher up. Now, you may be thinking, but I don't care about being promoted, so it doesn't apply to me. Just remember this. You may not be competing with your coworkers today, but when the company goes through a layoff, you're competing with coworkers to not get laid off. That's exactly what happened to me. Think about it this way. Why are people at work? They're there because they need a paycheck or because it's another rung on their way up the career ladder. So, whenever personal relationships get in the way of these things, you should be able to guess what wins out most of the time. So, what's my advice? I say take the middle road. You shouldn't alienate coworkers by being standoffish and unapproachable. Be cooperative and look for the win win scenarios. Be friendly with your coworkers. Make small talk, chat with them about hobbies or trips you go on, but don't go out of your way to become close friends with them. Here are the 5 big don'ts to avoid deadly career mistakes. With coworkers, don't gossip or badmouth others. Now, many fall into the trap of bonding together by complaining about management, but there's almost always a mole in the group giving management the scoop. Don't drink too much at company events. If you must, 1 or 2 drinks at the most. It'll keep you from saying things you may regret. Don't talk about career aspirations or job hunting. A coworker might be going for the same job and may feel threatened, or may even tell your manager if your management doesn't know about it. Don't talk about personal topics such as money, health, or sex. You may be skipped over for promotion if management thinks you may have problems in the future. Don't connect on social media such as Instagram and Facebook. Use LinkedIn instead. That's the perfect way to use social media with coworkers. Now, there are exceptions. For example, if it's your first job out of college in a new city, it's natural for you to find your first friends at work. But even then, be careful. Most people I know just don't have very good friends from work, even after working alongside some of them for decades. The reality is that once people leave a job, their lives just quickly move in different directions. Hopefully, you got some useful advice from this video so you don't make the same mistakes I did and you can get savvy without the scars. But that's all we have time for today. For more tips that I can't share here, feel free to subscribe to my newsletter in the description. And if you found this video valuable, please like and subscribe. Until next time, stay savvy, my friends.